Have you ever heard that the foreign policy is discussed over phone between the President Trump and Prime Minister Narendra Modi? This has perhaps happened, but I will take you to the in the past to discuss how the events have unfolded. That is ever since the war between the US and Russia and Ukraine, the sanction was imposed on Russia by the United States. It means the deal in the dollars will not be possible when any country imposes the sanction. So the country is cut off from the payment in dollars, receiving in dollars. So Russia was expected to give the oil to any country and paying anything uh, the amount in the on currency. So and it was a discounted oil also. So Russia started supplying oil to India, and it made a lot of money also out of that because the oil refined was exported to the Western countries. Subsequently, the Western countries have also been advised not to purchase the oil coming from Russia to oils company. So this has been going on in 2022, 23, 24, but beginning 25, when Trump has come for the second term, Trump has decided that now on he will charge the reciprocal tariff because most of the countries are charging tariff according to their requirement and protection. So similarly, United States has imposed the tariff of 25% flat on the Indian goods exported to the United States. These could be textile, gems and jewelry, petrochemicals, electronics, pharmaceutical, etc. So, and a significant amount of export, that is roughly around $86 billion, which was done in 2024-25, used to be there. Significant amount of the export, and it is the single largest market of United States. United States is the largest importer of our products. Roughly 17 to 18% of its import demand is met out of the India. So it is a significant, and labor intensive sector are also dependent on the export to the United States. But when Trump came to know that India is buying oil from Russia also, on which the sanction has been imposed, then very quietly, United States has imposed another penalty of 25%, making a total tariff of 50%. Making a tariff of 50%, some of the products like pharmaceutical and electronics were exempted from the duties because these products would have impacted the lives in the United States. So this way, when the United States was insisting for bilateral trade agreement, India had was expected to cut down the supply from the Russia. So subsequently, the deals with other countries like Oman, New Zealand, UK, and EU, Australia, these were finalized free trade agreements. But with United States, it continued to linger for this thing whether it can stop buying oil from Russia. So Russia also came last month to have a free trade agreement of pharmaceutical and other products, and it would happen in another 4 to 5 years. But immediately it is a point of clearing the export and to save the labor intensive sector from the onslaught of the export being held up. Unless the negotiation are done, the Trump is adamant that it is fueling the war machine of Russia when India is buying oil from Russia, and Russia is earning revenue from India and making war on the Ukraine. So they have a single point. They have a firm belief that the war machine is created by the Russia because India is buying oil from Russia. So, as a result of which, now came November, came November, the deal was not finalized, but somehow the pressure was building up that the Russia oil has slightly been reduced, and at the same time some amount of oil is being purchased from United States November and December, because United States has also a surplus oil which he is forcing to buy from United States. The United States oil is definitely costly, and it will cause inflation in the economy. And once the inflation will be there, the interest rate will not be stabilized, and the things will be out of control in that particular situation. But it has increased the oil from Russia by 92%. Still, from US 92% it has increased, but from the Russia it is going on as it is. There is no change. Recently, there is one video leak where Trump is saying that now the Modi wants to please me. In what respect he wants to please me? That is the conversation which has been held, that Modi is a good guy and it will stop buying the oil from Russia. Then he will come to the trade finalization. But in November and December, some amount of oil has been increased from United States. But if Russia oil is reduced, then definitely that the impact on inflation will be there, and the cost saving will not be there. Cost hike will be there, and definitely the export earning has already been stopped, because the two oil companies which were supplying oil, these have also been barred, that the Western countries have been barred that they should not take the oil from these two companies refined by the Reliance refinery. So as such, the problem in fact get converted into what we see is that the Russian oil is still being imported, but the trade is not finalized. So this Trump is not happy with what India is buying the American oil, and it is increased in small quantity, although it has become 92% of the previously bought purchased oil. But still he wants that some trade negotiation should be there, because it can happen with the 25% tariff, whereas tariff from Vietnam is 19% and from China it is 29%, the maximum. So in this particular situation, the foreign policy has come into question, that you are signing an agreement with Russia also, and buying the oil from Russia, saying that we have got the strategic autonomy to align with anybody wherever our needs will be met. So needs are met from Russia, but at the same time, did you not know that the United States is adamant that if it India did not stop buying oil from Russia, the trade will not be finalized, and roughly 6 crores family will be affected, because in the labor intensive sectors, gems and jewelry and textile and electronics and pharmaceutical and petrochemicals and engineering goods, these are the some of the goods which are exported to United States, and there is an assured income from United States every year. And the exports are also, the stock market is also getting good points on the basis of this export, and investment was also there. So these were the points which should have been kept in mind when deciding whether we should align with the Russia or we should align with the United States. Even though the oil prices have been fixed so long, for the last 4 or 5 years at same price, because the Gulf prices have not increased beyond $60 per barrel, and similarly you can buy it from the same price from the USA also. The pump prices would have not increased, but at the same time, since buying oil from Russia, a lot of money has been made by taking the oil from Russia at discounted prices and sending the petroleum products and refined oil to the European countries when they are in need. But since they have been strictly warned that no oil from Russia has to be purchased, but still it is purchased from Russia because it is at the cheaper price. some adjustment within the adjustment between the companies is done, but companies were also making profit, and at the same time the prices have not gone, and the fear of inflation was not hanging on India. As such, now when the trade is not cleared, there is a pressure from the exporter lobby that their livelihood is affected. So somehow it should be started. So very quietly, India has started buying oil from Russia. In the in the audio leak, United States is saying that Modi is a very good guy and he will agree to what I will say. That in fact this conversation has gone on 40-second, 48-second audio leak is there, where something is there, uh, something has happened. Now when he wants that the Russia should stop giving the oil, or India should stop buying the oil from Russia, and then the trade negotiation will happen. And trade negotiation is very important, otherwise, as I have told, that this export, if it is not done in a time bound manner, then definitely investment will suffer and livelihood of the people will suffer, and that the government will have to give the cheap credit for keep these manufacturing working all the day, working capital requirement and this thing. So this arrangement will have to be made by the this India, and most of this export which was expected to be absorbed within the country when the GST was reduced, it was not possible because these are the different sets of commodities altogether. Although the New Zealand and Oman and European Union, Australia, UK, these foreign trade agreement have already been have gone through and are being processed, but whether the products being supplied to the United States on confirmed basis will be supplied to these countries, it is extremely doubtful. The media continue to say something else, but in between the lines situation is something different when it is seen from the internal situation, that the export which is assured to the United States, and if it is not done, then definitely is the problem. So United States, once India stops buying oil from Russia, it will definitely cut down the 25% penalty. But on 25%, on 25%, it can come down to the Vietnam tariff rate, that is 18 to 19%. 18 to 19% is suitable to the United States, and 18 to 19% uh, is suitable to the exporter also, because at present that is the exchange rate which we see has slipped from $1 to 91. $1 is 91, then it is causing a lot of problem. And at the same time, this 91, the devalued currency, is not in a position to clear the export to as many countries as one can take group together, because it is a wholesome export which is going to the United States. So this is very compulsory that this has to come down, and at least the investment scenario is not disturbed, and the deal is always in dollar to dollar. So that way the exchange rate will not come into play. This is a compelling force, but at the same time the foreign policy is bitterly exposed, and this foreign policy is decided on 48 second. That is the audio leak which has happened, that this Trump is saying that Modi is a very good friend of mine and he will agree and he will stop buying the oil from Russia. It means the oil, once it is stopped from buying from Russia, part of it will come from Africa and then from the Gulf, and then some of it will be increased from the United States. So this situation is becoming very compulsory. At the same time, the opposition party Congress is asking that how this foreign policy is decided. What this Trump is saying, the Prime Minister should come forward, come open and say that this is a kind of foreign policy which is being discussed, and oil from Russia, which meets our energy security, is being stopped, and it is being bought from the Middle East and Africa, and then increased from United States, and at the same time the trade agreement was there. So this trade agreement could have been done earlier also. That is in the month of August or September. By that time, the economy should have not gone into the problem at this stage when something is happening appropriately and at opportune time. Now, when this deal will happen, definitely you will cut off the oil from Russia, and Russia will also be annoyed with you. And the trade pact, which has already been signed, it will also be thrown into the winds. These problems will also arise with the foreign policy with Russia. So at the same time, when this United States is claiming that India is a very good ally of us and they should align with us whenever we say something to it. And there was a benefit also. We could see that 86 billion dollar worth of export was a considerable amount, and it should have protected the industries and investment and many things, which has which has gone down the drain in the last 7 to 8 months because the deal could not be finalized, and we are hankering here and there to finalize the deal. As such, the problem, in fact, now will immediately convert to stopping the oil from Russia and doing the trade deal, because between the two, the situation is that the trade would be better with America not buying oil from Russia. If a little bit inflation will be there, definitely the government will have to adjust from the cess charges and excise duty. Otherwise, the prices are already very high and the inflation is under control. Once inflation goes out of the spiral, that definitely the problem, in fact, in the economy will be there, interest rate will be reduced and economy will be slowed down. So this 86 billion worth of export is very important, and early it is done, better it is. That was the point which I have noted, that how this foreign policy is conducted in this particular regime, and how the two premiers of the countries are talking about this thing, and when it will be decided. Although it would have been decided at the diplomatic level, and foreign policy should have taken into account that what kind of situation can develop when we go this way or that way. Finally, world will notice that once you say this thing. And secondly, the Trump has also told all the nations that he was instrumental in the ceasefire between the Pakistan and India. Then the questions are also asked that why the ceasefire was immediately done when Pakistan was buckled, has come under pressure, and the war should have gone to the full scale, and some results should have come out. So everything is now is in the doldrum situation. The things, in fact, will turn after 1 month or 2 months, that how it settles down. And but the people will know that how the foreign policy is conducted in India, that is a moot point, and it is a very critical point, that how the foreign policy is so fragile. Thank you.